Mr. Sven Harmeling, I'd like to begin with you. Now, part of trying to understand how humans impact the environment around them is trying to also see how we impact biodiversity. Seeing all these animals that we haven't been seeing in our cities, in our urban centers come out, what does that signify? What does that really mean?
Well, I mean, what it signifies in a way is that as mankind, so to say, is a bit on a retreat at the moment because we have less economic activities, we're driving less cars. Many of us have to stay at home to do our best to basically contain the very sad and grief pandemic. But in a way, it looks as if this opens up spaces for animals to come back into cities, etc. So I think in a way it reminds us of the fact that the activities we undertake usual or the immense, let's say, intensity of the traffic, etc., also brings about certain problems, of course. I think the solution, of course, to this is not have the pandemic continue. We need to do our best to contain it. But then when we come to setting up our systems or resetting our systems economies in the next few months, I think we need to consider what benefits have we maybe missed because of many of the economic activities, and how can we learn from the situation?
Right, and learning from the situation, and as you mentioned, how we do that when we try to go towards resetting our cities, resetting our economies. We need to take into mind what has been happening during this lockdown. Professor Peter Newman, now you work with cities, you work on cities and sustainability. So when we talk about biodiversity and it being seen in cities, we always think about that these two things don't they don't mix. Is it possible that in the future we create cities in a way in which we keep in mind biodiversity in their natural habitats? Is that a possibility with the development and the way we develop cities?
Yes, it always has been actually part of cities. We tended to try and scrub them out from the 1950s on. It was kind of like didn't fit into our modern cities.